Hi, everybody. Justin Tate here. Welcome to Wrestle Recap. Who are you?
Um, Today I'm Michelle Tate. Who are
Mm,
you?
I just said it. I'm Justin Tate. I
Did
said
you?
that.
I
It was like the
already wasn't
first
paying
thing
it.
I said.
I already quit paying attention.
Oh boy, that's what Survivor Series will do to you. It's Wrestle Recap, only brother sister duo who takes you on the journey of wrestling throughout the decades, even if it's Survivor Series.
Yeah, we sure do. And we still have a great time doing it, even if it is Survivor Series. But let's talk a little bit of the current wrestling news right now. We don't have to get too deep into it. We do have Dynasty, AEW Dynasty coming up. The big question there is, will Swerve take the title off of John Moxley?
God, I hope so.
Here's the thing though. So I was like, oh yeah, he's gonna take it off. But I kind of think they're saving it for Darby because especially with that oh god, the spikes in John Moxley's back. I think Darby's gonna come back and be like, I climbed Mount Everest. You can't hurt me, blah, blah,
if,
blah.
if you're saving it for Darby, don't just find another way to get it onto him. You gotta get it off Moxley.
Yeah, it's true. He still never went on vacation. And then, of course, we have WrestleMania coming up in about 3 weeks. Now, it's in Las Vegas, and I am shocked that you and your wife aren't going.
You know what? We heavily talked about it. Then we looked at ticket prices and said, you know what? We have a comfy couch and we have a Peacock subscription. That's good enough.
You know what? I did the same thing. I actually, when I knew the Wrestle Mania dates, right away I went and I was like, "Oh, I'm going to get comp rooms for this weekend before they realize it's WrestleMania weekend." And I had a free room at the Aria for WrestleMania weekend, the entire weekend. And I sure did cancel it when I saw ticket prices because like
Mm,
just because you can afford something doesn't mean you should. And I thought it was hella stupid that it was like $450 a ticket in the nosebleeds. Like, I don't do
yeah.
that. I've paid $600 for the front row at an AEW show.
I will
So,
say this summer, my wife and I are going to a taping of SmackDown. Well, I guess a live SmackDown. It was supposed to be in early June, then it got moved to late July. But it's funny because I've been to pay-per-views, I've been to Raw, I've never ever been to a SmackDown ever.
oh wow, that
So
surprises
we're
me.
gonna go to SmackDown this July.
Well, I hope the storylines over there start picking up a little bit. I've heard that SmackDown's a little rough lately.
It's so funny because on Friday nights, by the time it comes around, I'm like, I'll turn on SmackDown if I feel like it.
Yeah, Friday nights are tough for me. But yeah, let's talk about these firings from TNA, notably Gail Kim.
Yeah, everybody else on that list probably wasn't just crazy familiar to casual fans, and even some people who are newer to wrestling may not know who Gail Kim was or is. She still is this person, but she fantastic wrestler, one of the best women's wrestlers ever. Was let go by WWE twice
Jeez.
and went over to TNA in between WWE times and then after her final WWE run, and was instrumental in building the TNA women's division, the Knockouts division, into what it is. And it produced some great stars, and they let her go.
I am just so confused by that. Fightful Select has been putting out more information about it, and it just, I mean, the fact that so many important people got fired all at once, it's strange, man. It's really
It
strange.
it almost feels like they're cutting costs
Uh,
to make themselves more attractive to a buyer, perhaps the one who they're in a partnership with right now. Who knows? Who knows? We'll see.
who knows, Justin? But you know what? It's way too dramatic over here in 2025. So why don't we hop in that time machine?
Let's do it.
Let's do it.
And away we go.
And I got the sound cue right this time.
Good, because that was one of the best moments on this show ever
Oh, God.
last week. If you missed it, check it out. We are talking about WWF Survivor Series 1990 this week. It took place on November 22nd, 1990, which was Thanksgiving that year.
Mm.
The venue, the Hartford Civic Center in Hartford, Connecticut, now known as the XL Center. And you've probably heard so much about this arena. It hosted many WWF pay-per-views over the years. Also, one episode of AEW Collision. And I can remember watching WWF TV as a kid and always hearing them say, we'll be at the Hartford Civic Center this Friday. So very cool to be back in this arena. Attendance for the show, 16,000, right around there. And our commentators, an interesting team here. Rowdy Roddy Piper, who we saw on, I believe it was SummerSlam, right?
Mm-hmm.
And Gorilla Monsoon returns to the commentary desk. How do you like that?
I think they're trying to rebuild the chemistry that Gorilla and Jesse had. That's what I think they're
Kind of
going
seems
for.
like it. Kind of seems like it. Well, the number one song in the U.S. on this day, well, it's the same song that was the number one on our last episode about Halloween Havoc, Black Cat by Janet Jackson. Yeah. I still don't remember that song.
I don't either. And that's why it's weird, because this is our first song that has been the number one song 2 weeks in a row, like for our pod or like our show. And so I'm like, hold up. How long has this song been number one? Because I don't remember it at all.
I don't either. Well, tell us about the background of this show.
Yes, please. Well, this was the 4th annual Survivor Series event, but there's a twist this year. The survivors from each match will then compete in one final Survivor Series match at the end of the night. However, this was the only Survivor Series to feature that stipulation, and I kind of get why.
Yeah.
Going into it, I was like, oh, this is cool. And now I kind of understand. What were your thoughts on that?
It's definitely that seemed better on paper, especially with such a foregone conclusion that by the time you got there, is like, we can probably get to the car and get out of here before this is over, right? So,
oh my gosh, you were so your father's son. That's so something he would do. Like, he's the one that leaves like at the end of the fourth quarter, start the fourth quarter, because he wants to beat the traffic. I'm like, you don't want to see what happens in the sporting event? No, I want to get out. Anyway, there was one.
When we went to Royal Rumble a couple of years ago, like the main event ended and we were like all ready to leave. My wife and I were actually walking down the stairs from our seats when Sami Zayn hit Roman Reigns with the chair, and we like stopped middle of the aisle, like, what is happening?
I remember that because y'all told me, you were like, oh, we had already started leaving. And I was like, what the hell? Why'd you start leaving? The best part, you almost missed it.
Hey, it was a long walk back here,
It really was. But hey, there was one replacement on the show, which we'll get into later. And there was also one dark match for the live crowd before the show went on the air, where Shane Douglas defeated Buddy Rose.
Interesting matchup, right?
I know, super random, but okay, why not? But hey, Justin, guess what? We're going to get some
wrestle sets.
Oh man, I was hoping for Mean Gene again. Okay. Well, the average age of wrestlers on this pay-per-view, 34 years old. The youngest, Shawn Michaels, and a mystery person who we will find out later in this show. The oldest, get this, Jimmy Superfly Snuka, 47 years old on this show. Unbelievable. Yeah. Now, out of the 40 wrestlers on this pay-per-view, 25 of them are still alive today. That's a percentage of 62.5%. And out of all 234 wrestlers we have watched on Wrestle Recap, 131 of them are still alive today for a percentage of 55.98%. Do it.
That song reminds me of Carrot Top, and I'm going to be seeing him tomorrow night in Las Vegas.
Tomorrow night. All right. Well, tell him I said hi from Potato Top. And
oh my God, it's because you're bald. You look like a potato. That's great.
Yeah, you got there.
You're a turd. Whatever. I'm going to get into the beginning of the show if that's all right with you, potato head. Whatever. You can't even change your eyes or your nose or your mouth or anything. We should put a frown on you. Whatever.
Tell me I gotta watch Survivor Series again.
Oh, okay. So they hit us with this great opening Survivor Series graphic. I love 90s graphics. But we hear Vince's voice telling us who all will be on the show tonight, with kind of like side-by-side photos included. And we see the wrestlers that'll be facing each other along with the teams they've built. And I will note, Greg Valentine still has the dark hair, and it's just not the same Debbie Lynn that I'm used to.
Oh, Debbie Lynn. Yeah, this is like Debbie Lynn found out her man was chasing Sally Jane around the hayloft and decided to freshen up and find a new man at the church bingo game.
Hell yes. She really should have added some bangs because everyone knows breakup and bangs that goes together.
Oh yeah, and then there was like, remember back around there was like the bangs, but then there would be like bangs on top of the bangs,
Oh, it
like
was
double
so
layer
layered.
bangs.
It was like
Oh man,
the parfait of bangs. They just kept layering on top of there. Oh yeah, I
that's
think my
right.
mom had those.
Oh, probably.
Probably. But hey, another thing that's notable is that the photos being used of demolition, did you notice them?
Yes.
Okay, because they're showing all the members of the teams or whatever, and all three demolition guys are wearing like 100% S&M masks. Like you don't see their makeup, you can barely see their eyes. It's just these black leather masks like covering 95% of their faces.
Yeah, I think they didn't even have makeup on. Like if you looked at the eyes, kind of like you could just see
Yeah.
like flesh.
It was really strange. I'll talk about it a little more later, but
Yeah.
Gorilla Monsoon and Roddy Piper welcome us and remind us that it is indeed Thanksgiving, a tradition.
Well, I thought the Thanksgiving tradition was Starcade, but go on, go on.
I kind of did too. But I really do think WWE or somebody should go back to this. I mean, I would love to see a pay-per-view on Thanksgiving night. You?
Yeah, and like for a while, they also made it the Thanksgiving Eve tradition, I guess, like
Ooh.
just so nobody was distracted during Thanksgiving dinner. Here's a question.
Mhm.
Do you say Thanksgiving or Thanksgiving? Where do you put the emphasis?
Thanksgiving.
That's
Not
what I do too.
Thanksgiving.
Yeah, but I know a lot of people with Thanksgiving, and I'm like, why are you doing that?
Yeah, it might be a northern thing because I feel like Mark's family says Thanksgiving. Now I have to like extra emphasize it but hey, at least Roddy is looking a little more dressed up this time around. He's not just in his gear, but then whoa, out of nowhere, they hit me with some of the quote stupid shit. There is a giant egg on a platform resting on some hay. And how did we get here? Less than 3 minutes into the show. I even paused the show and texted you like, what the hell?
Yeah, yeah, we'll get into it.
Yeah, I realized quickly what that was going to be. I just didn't
Yeah.
know the shock, the shock had to wear off before I could realize what that was going to be. But Roddy tells us that they are broadcasting to the special forces in the Middle East and that they will charge Saddam Hussein through the nose to watch. Man, Roddy getting political less than 3 minutes into the show. The stupid shit. This is fun.
And it is all night long. People talking about President Bush and the armed forces in the Middle East and Saddam Hussein. Stop.
Oh, gosh. Well, finally, we get to Fink announcing the first match. And the perfect team comes out to the ring, complete with Mr. Fuji and Bobby Heenan. And I'm, expecting this match to get going. But wait, we have to do a backstage interview first because it is WWF in 1990.
All right.
There's not near as many as the last time, so we're good
True.
on that. But Mean Gene is backstage with the Legion of Doom, Ultimate Warrior, and Texas Tornado. Gene says that he knows that they are looking forward to the grand finale match. But how does he know they're going to make it there? Like,
Yeah.
it's a tournament. They have to win. So,
You
spoiler
trust
alert,
old
Gene.
Scheme Gene.
I know. Spoiler alert.
Yeah.
Well, anyway, Hawk says they're going to beat the perfect team. Texas Tornado and Animal basically agree, adding that submission is one way to go about it. And I'm like, yeah, we know. The Ultimate Warrior, though, oh man, he looks like Sensational Sherry with that black and silver makeup that she wore on the last show. Like he kind of redid it. And he says he wants nothing to do with perfection. And he says there's no poison, creation, or medicine to cure what they have. Gross.
Ugh. Well, and don't forget the force fields. There was something about force fields in there because, warrior gonna warrior.
Is that what he was saying? I couldn't tell what the hell he was saying.
I don't know. There was so much spit and phlegm, and I don't know.
Phlegm. Ew, I don't like that word because it sounds like what it is, like phlegm.
Phlegm.
Phlegm. I love that. Well, let's get into this first match. The perfect team versus the Ultimate Warriors. So, man, we saw pretty much all these guys within the last year. Axe, Crush, Mr. Perfect, Smash, Animal, Hawk, Texas Tornado, and Ultimate Warrior. They've all been on recent pay-per-views in 1990, and they're all, pretty young. I think, let's see, our oldest is 33, and that is, I almost said
Axe,
Road.
he's 42.
Oh, there's Axe. Yeah.
But
he
it's
is
interesting
42.
because the last time that we saw Anil and Hawk in a match was WCW.
I know.
Capital Combat.
I almost said Road Warrior, Hawk, and Animal, and I was trying to throw myself off. But yeah, I mean, really, that was in '90. I was thinking it was so much further.
That was RoboCop.
Oh, RoboCop. That was my favorite.
Oh, God. Let's get into it. Now, the past few shows, the entrance has been a black curtain with the WWF logo over it, right? This time, there's not even a logo.
It's
just a black curtain. And it's also weird how the entrance aisle is set up because, like, the guys come out the curtain and then behind an entire section of fans, and then they take a turn and then between two more sections of fans and arrive at the corner of the ring. This was set up so strange.
It was. And I noticed the entrance aisle is very narrow. Like now I feel like it's super wide. So wrestlers aren't even at risk of being touched by fans. But like this one, I mean, if you know, this side and this side, they're both stretching out their arms. I mean, you got to scrunch to get through them. So
yeah, and it's fun because if you watch Saturday night's main event now, the new ones that they're doing, they bring that back in. They make that aisle narrower, just like it was back then.
Well, I saw the thing this week about CM Punk and Cody like being touched by that OnlyFans chick. Was that at SmackDown? I guess.
No, I don't know what it was, what actual event it was, but it was one of those in Europe, and I watched the video and like. Punk like still ended up taking the photo. Like he kind of turned around a couple times like, hey, don't do that, you know? But then Cody, it looked like he just, after 2 times, he just gave the phone back and walked away. Like,
he knew Brandy would be on his butt about that.
Right.
That's why. And I mean, CM Punk's pretty cool, even though he did give me COVID when I met him.
Well, that's okay. You get something from the wrestlers. They give you something to go home with.
Well, there's no, what did Warrior say, creation or potion that can get rid of what I have. So this is highly inappropriate, but this was the thought
on
I
this
had.
show.
Hell yeah. During this match, all I could think of is I want to see the Texas Tornado's fake foot really bad.
Oh.
Because now that I know it's there, I can't stop thinking about it.
It is crazy to watch him like run around the ring and everything and know that he only has 1 foot. Like it's pretty incredible.
And like, how does it attach? Does he have to use like denture glue? Like, is there a foot glue that you just kind of glue it on each night? Do you leave it
glue?
Yeah, like do you like leave it in a cup of water to clean overnight?
Oh,
like
good
what
God.
do you do with a fake foot?
He just has a bucket. That's it.
Yes, he takes it off and lets it soak.
Yeah. Well, fun fact, out of the 8 men in this match, only 2 are not wearing face paint. How about that?
You're
also,
right.
out of the 8 men in this match, only 2 are still alive today.
Justin, that's depressing. We already did the I'm still standing. I'm happy everyone's alive. And then you always come at me with this, that everyone's dead.
I like to point these things out. It's an in memoriam segment once a show that leaves out like most of the other people on the show.
I was about to say, well, okay, so Demolition, they look the same as they always have with their makeup. And that makes me think that they just like, for the opening photos, they just like didn't have them there. So they're like, here, 3 random guys, put on these masks and you're going to be Demolition for these photos. Or were they too lazy to do their makeup for pictures? Like, I'm just very confused.
They finally found something for Moondog Spot. All right, guys, we did it.
Aw, yay, Moondog. But all right, man, this is a dumb question. And it could possibly be like, I don't know. But is this the same Axe? Because Axe has a lot more hair and it's longer.
I noticed that. And it is the same Axe. But yeah, it's definitely, he's letting it go. Meanwhile, Smash's hair, like, buddy, give it up.
Yeah, that's pretty bad. But like, I was thinking, I'm like, did hair transplants exist in 1990? Because I mean, he's got a lot fuller hair. And then, so like, once I noticed that, I'm like, they're not showing his face very much. And then Texas Tornado puts the claw on like Axe's face, but they never zoom in on him. And then Warrior pins him real quick and he's gone. And it's the first elimination. So I'm like, this is a conspiracy. That is not the real Axe. You
should start an entire Twitter that ain't Axe and just see what happens.
It's like I make fun of our mom all the time because she swears there's been like 3 different Undertakers, but no, this is not the same Axe.
Well, you know what? There were rumors when I was a kid that the first Ultimate Warrior died and that Texas Tornado took his place, which was silly. And somehow it's one of those rumors that made it in every school across America. Like every school across America knew that Richard Gere got a gerbil taken out of his ass.
I knew that, yeah.
There's just things like that. But watching this match, both Tornado and Warrior have big teased up hair. Both of them are wearing white trunks. They're built. They have streamers all over them. So maybe.
So wait a minute. Pause. So are they saying that was the rumor that this Warrior in this match, he was the Warrior and he died later, so Texas Tornado took over?
I think that was the rumor, although we're looking for logic in a place that has none. So
that's the same thing with Paul McCartney and Avril Lavigne. They say that the original ones died, but they were like so hot and getting so famous that they replaced them.
I mean, sure.
Well, Hawk hits a clothesline on Smash for the pin, but Crush breaks the pin on the 2 count.
That made me laugh out loud because Hawk hits that clothesline and Smash goes down hard. And then Crush like just turns around and looks at the crowd and the hard camera with this look on his face like, oh, great. All right.
Yep. Well, of course, Animal hops in and it becomes an all-out brawl. Like Smash kind of shoves the ref, but then Hawk full on kicks him and like he done messed up Ron because the ref decides to DQ everyone that's like currently in the ring. So we have to say goodbye to the Legion of Doom, Crush, and Smash. So we've got Mr. Perfect versus Texas Tornado and the Ultimate Warrior at this point. But is it really just Mr. Perfect against one person? Because they're the same person.
That's right. It could be a hologram, not the AEW wrestler, but it's somebody else. But who's helping to kick these guys out of the ringside area? Once again, little Shane O'Mac, Shane McMahon enforcing the rules on the outside without tearing anything. That's impressive.
Man, those quads were extra strong back then. Extra strong. Well, the Ultimate Warrior and Texas Tornado just keep knocking Mr. Perfect out of the ring. Like as soon as he gets back in, it was frustrating for me as a viewer, but finally Warrior just kind of goes to town goes on the floor to beat Mr. Perfect, but he ends up beating up Bobby Heenan instead, which I'm like, this is obviously a DQ happy ref. So no DQ for Warrior beating up Bobby Heenan?
I wouldn't think so. I mean, Heenan's not in the match. Who cares? He's the weasel.
Yeah, he's a weasel, but if it were like someone good, we'd be mad about it. I don't know. But Mr. Perfect eliminates Texas Tornado with a perfect plex.
Yes, but they missed showing us that somehow the turnbuckle pad came off. So Tornado got sent head first right into the steel turnbuckle, and then that knocked him out for the perfect plex. I think it took Roddy Piper to actually call it out.
Oh, wow. There were a few things this show that I'm like, and then Roddy calls it out. So good eyeball, Roddy, but he tries the perfect plex on Warrior, but Warrior kicks out in 2. And like at this point, the crowd is going crazy. They're so hot.
It was great.
Yeah, but Warrior does eliminate Mr. Perfect, leaving Warrior as the only survivor. So the Ultimate Warriors win the match with Ultimate Warrior, as I said, sole survivor in 14 minutes and 20 seconds. How'd you feel about our opening match?
I'll be honest. We've watched so many of these Survivor Series, and they can be such a slog that when LOD and Demolition all got disqualified, it went, hell yeah, there's 4 guys out of 8 gone. All right, this will go quick. And really, that's kind of the story for the night. None of these matches were these long, drawn-out things like they have been on previous Survivor Series shows.
Yeah, I agree with you because I didn't know if it was that or just that the teams seem to make much more sense this Survivor Series. So like I was more invested in it. I guess not just from a talent, but like a storyline thing. It made a lot more sense of why people were paired with each other this time. But Sean Mooney is backstage with the $1 Million Team along with Virgil and Jimmy Hart, and both Debbie Lynn, Greg Valentine, and Honky Tonk Man have guitars now. And so I'm like, I bet Debbie felt left out. She wanted a guitar too. They tried to give her a tambourine, but she was like, no.
No, I want to be able to play a song, Nearer My God to Thee, and I want to get a guitar.
For some reason, that just reminded me of Jenny and Forrest Gump singing there naked with the guitar. I see Greg Valentine in my head. Debbie Lynn,
Oh,
naked
what
with
a
the guitar.
sight.
Well, Sean says something about how the mystery opponent is being conspicuous in his absence. And I'm like, well, that's kind of the point, Sean. Of course, he's a
Yeah.
mystery. Why would he like whatever? But DiBiase, he guarantees that he will show up and basically says, like, hold your horses. The mystery guy's coming. I'm not telling you, but he's going to pluck the Birdman, aka Coco Beware, and send the Heart Foundation to the Heartbreak Hotel via rhythm and blues. And I'm just like, I wonder which one's rhythm and which one's blues. Because like
Hmm.
but DiBiase says he is going to put Dusty Rhodes where he belongs, on his knees and begging for mercy, and only the strong survive. I like that because it was short, sweet, simple. But to the arena we go to our next match, brother.
Yes, another Survivor Series tag team elimination match. The Dream Team versus the $1 Million Team. We've seen all these guys previously this same year. Some of them at SummerSlam, a couple at Rumble, some at WrestleMania 6. But there is one guy in this match, the mystery opponent. We'll get to him shortly. Let's get into the match.
Okay, first thing I noticed, where are Dusty's dots? He is in red and black with no dots in sight. But then I answered my own question because I was like, Sapphire was the first one in the dots when we saw her as a crowd member, right? Like, wasn't she the first? Because I remember seeing her for the first time and I was like, oh, this random woman in the crowd, I love her. Why is she wearing those dots? So is it because they broke up that he's not wearing the dots anymore? Or did Dusty just tell Vince, F off, I'm cool, I'm not wearing dots anymore?
I think Dusty was wearing it pre-Sapphire. But I would have to think that this was a Dusty's just going to do what Dusty's going to do type thing.
Yeah, but rest in peace, dots. Maybe they'll make a comeback.
Oh, we can only hope. One day with Stardust.
Yes.
Kind of odd to see the hearts coming out to American Dream, if you think about it, Canadian. But commentary mentions that Brett lost his brother Dean just the day before this. So we'll let that part go.
Oh my gosh. I didn't even catch that they said that. That's so sad.
Yeah. And now it's time. Okay. Rhythm and Blues enter. Ted DiBiase enters with Virgil, and then he announces his mystery partner.
Oh, snap. Well, my dreams of the Undertaker hatching from the egg are killed. But Ted DiBiase announces it, and he announces that he's managed by Brother Love.
Yeah.
What? Like the Undertaker and Brother Love? That is the weirdest combination of my life.
Yeah. It doesn't fit well, and it also doesn't last long.
Good. Well, I mean, they have his music. Like, I thought it was gonna be like some funky music that we're not used to, but no, it was like Undertaker's music. And so, like, this music, this gear, all feels right in the world at this point.
Yeah, and it's so funny that same song has undergone so many like redos over the year to add more orchestration or more bass or more this or that. But it's all basically that same song that it has been. And of course, Roddy Piper has to yell, "Look at the size of that ham hock." But the interesting thing is, and I'm sure a lot of people know this, they held Undertaker's like retirement thing exactly 25 years after this night at Survivor Series. What would that have been? 2020. So yeah, pretty cool.
Did they even have a Survivor Series in 2020?
They did, but it was in the Thunderdome.
Oh god, that sucks. Like the fact that like he didn't even have the real live audience. Oh, that just sucks.
Yeah.
Freaking COVID, man. But you know, we haven't seen a wrestler like the Undertaker yet. Like one that is stoic and doesn't really speak. And I really want to know what the crowd was thinking for this. Like, who is this dude? You know?
Yeah. No, it there was definitely kids in the crowd who were like, that boy big.
And he's scary. But Roddy says that he's, quote, some guy they dug up from someplace. And I was like, is that shots fired at WCW? Is it?
I figured it just dug him up because he's a dead guy. But you know what? There had to be people who realized that this was Mean Mark, right?
They had to, but I mean, they did a good job with his makeup. I mean, that's kind of the first quote realistic makeup we've had, if that makes sense. Like it's not just like face paint and stuff. So
Yeah.
I thought they did a really good job with his whole presentation right off from the beginning. But one by one, Bret Hart, then Jim Neidhart, then Coco Beware, they all get into the ring just to get crushed, destroyed one at a time by the Undertaker. And again, all is just right in the world.
Yeah, and it was perfect because how could they prepare for a guy like that, somebody who they had never seen before? So no matter how good those three guys are, you're not going to prepare for a 6'9" guy doing stuff
Yeah.
like that to you.
Yeah, and he's like scary. Like he's not even like, come at me, man, blah. He's just standing there. And I'm like, that is so
Yeah.
much scarier. But the Undertaker, okay, this is where it gets a little weird. The Undertaker, he tombstones Coco and he eliminates him. And Gorilla says, he just got nailed with a tombstone. And Roddy says, what is it? And Gorilla says, I think it's a tombstone and it's over. So hold up. How did he know that that's what that was called? Especially when this was a mystery partner. Don't.
Yeah, I see. And that's what I was wondering when I was watching too. Was this known as a tombstone pile driver before this? And that I don't know.
I feel like it's not because I feel like we would have heard this term before
Yeah.
now. And obviously, with his character, the tombstone, hello. I mean,
Right.
yeah. So my husband tried to tombstone me one time, and that's not a euphemism. He legit like tried to pick me up, and I was like, dude, no. Like, and he's like, no, I'm gonna tombstone you. I was like, don't tombstone me, bro.
Is that why y'all are going to Vegas this weekend? Is he can go to wrestling school at FSW and learn to, is it FSW? Is that what it's called? Yeah, FSW.
I don't know, but I just saw a TikTok about how you can do like a wedding that's like WWE themed and you can get pinned and stuff like that. And I'm like, I want to renew my vows there. That's incredible.
Well, I know this is being way too cynical and I shouldn't be like this as a wrestling fan. But isn't it funny that a supernatural undead being knows how to properly execute wrestling moves and he knows the rules of a tag team match?
I mean, it is funny, but he kind of doesn't know the rules.
I just mean like when he gets out, like he sticks his hand out for a tag, you know?
Maybe they just briefed him real quick before he came out. It is a little cynical, but it's okay because I'm like the most cynical mofo on this planet. But fantastic power slam on Honky Tonk Man by Jim Neidhart. Like it resulted in the elimination, but like when Jim like slammed it on, he like jumped in the air with Honky in his arms and slammed him down. It was fantastic.
Neidhart was a powerful guy. You know, he was like, I think we probably talked about it way back when we first saw him, but he was a shot put, like huge shot put athlete back in the day. So he's got some strength behind him.
And that makes sense because he's so compact, kind of like a Rick Steiner, you know? Yeah, but Virgil cheats. And trips up Jim Neidhart like right when he's in his prime in this match. And that resulted in him being pinned by Ted DiBiase.
Virgil earning that cash, earning that Olive Garden money, that meat sauce.
Olive Garden money.
Yeah, it was a whole thing back in the day, you know, rest in peace, Virgil. But yeah, you can look it up. Anyway,
I was like, what?
Dusty throws a rare drop kick from Dusty Rhodes here. That'll shift anyone's muffler. I'm telling you.
I'm going to start using that as a phrase. Be like, man, that really, it sounds like I'm getting mad. Like, oh, that really shifted my muffler. That makes me sound like, oh, I'm really pissed off. I'm not even mad when you bring up the muffler anymore. It's in the past. I can accept it now.
Good. Because it's staying around.
Great. Well, I wonder if Cody wears a muffler.
Oh,
Surely not.
You think Brandy would allow that?
Brandy probably doesn't know about it unless he accidentally leaves it in there. Well, Undertaker eliminates Dusty via pinfall and throws him out of the ring, but then Brother Love attacks Dusty. So Dusty chases him out, but Undertaker follows to, I guess, protect Brother Love, and he's eliminated via countout. And at first I didn't like this, but then I realized he's either being painted as too dumb to know what's going on, or he's so badass that he doesn't care about the rules. So I'll go with that.
Yeah, like, I mean, in reality, why would this guy give a crap about a win in a wrestling match, right? Like, if
Right.
he is this being that he's portrayed to be, why would he care?
So hold up a minute. You keep saying that he's like meant to be like undead and stuff. I thought he was just the Undertaker, and so like he works at the funeral home.
Well,
He probably
it was
has.
like, I just think about like later on when he can like shoot his hands up and lightning comes down,
That's
or,
true.
you know, like that sort of thing.
Yeah, I mean, I just thought he had the makeup because he's like super tired, but I thought maybe he had like, a full-time job at the funeral home, nice pension plan. I don't know. Like that's what I thought. But yeah, you're right. He does end up, and then the whole rolling his eyes back in his head later that comes. Nah. Well, quickly after, Bret Hart rolls up Greg Valentine for a pin, and I'm just like, poor Debbie Lynn. I just want to see him win sometime,
Yeah, but you know, have you seen this is like so not related to what you just said. Have you seen that picture of Greg Valentine and Brutus Beefcake from like, I don't know, 5 years ago, maybe around there, where they're both sitting there like watching TV at one of their homes. And it's like a recent picture at that
Mhm.
time. They're both sitting on like recliners at one of their houses. Neither of them has shirts on. Brutus Beefcake has pierced nipples.
Oh,
And I think it's Greg Valentine is like holding a marijuana pipe, but then they like didn't want that one out there, so they like photoshopped it to where he's holding a remote control.
I have not heard of this, but I'm so gonna go search Twitter for this as soon as we're done recording. Because why the hell does Brutus Beefcake have pierced nipples? That's disgusting.
I don't know. Anyway, and it appears that on this show, as of this show, Valentine's nickname is now Boxcar, which I can only assume is because of the size of his head. I don't know.
Hey, Debbie Lynn, she gets real self-conscious about the size of her head. Be careful with that.
I don't have a big head. I just got small shoulders.
That is so something like some hoe like that would say. Totally. Well, the best part of this match, I mean, minus the Undertaker, because obviously that was the best, but was like the final minutes between Bret Hart and Ted DiBiase. Like, my goodness, if you've never seen this match, go do yourself a favor and watch it, like, especially for the end.
Brett and Ted always had this amazing chemistry, and
Mhm.
both were just brought up like learning the fundamentals, having them down. They were so good together. But two things I loved here: Brett runs into the turnbuckle face first, like usual,
Oof.
right into his chest, and Gorilla says, "Brett knocked the wind out of himself, knocked the wind out of me." And Roddy says, "That's hard to do." Like, that was a funny line, but you're one to talk, Hot Rod.
Right?
You're known for not shutting up ever. So there was
Right.
that. But then also, when somebody gets shot off the ropes and then the other guy like drops down belly first to trip him, right? And it never works except this time. And so it's actually like fun to watch a move be effective for once.
Yeah, it's like it was the first time it happened, and every time after that, they were like, "Nope,"
Yep, jumping over. I learned
Yep.
from that other match. I got to jump.
Yeah, it was satisfying, but my favorite part is when DiBiase pins Brett, and immediately after, Brett just sits up and you see him mouth "fuck."
Yeah. Yeah. Well, that's the end of that one. The $1 Million Team wins the match with Ted DiBiase being the sole survivor in 13 minutes and 54 seconds. What'd you think about this one overall?
I really liked it. This probably was my favorite one. I think another reason why I'm liking these better on this show is because they're using their top stars for these matches. Because in the years past, it's been kind of like, let's get the B list and C list just to fill this up, versus let's get our top stars into these matches. So yeah, what did you think?
Yeah, no, I agree. I think this is my favorite one on the show as well. Laid out well, got to see Brett and Ted in there for a little while. And of course, get to see The Undertaker for the first time as The Undertaker. And it's so funny that, I mean, he was supposed to be an Undertaker. I mean, there's videos later on of him making caskets for certain opponents. And after he would beat like a job guy on TV, he put them in a body bag. And
Ooh.
so in a way, he was an Undertaker, but who would have thought that character would have lasted 30 years like that? It's unbelievable.
It really is. And I mean, I just wonder what he thought of the character, like when they presented it to him. Like, did he think it was cool, or was he like, this is dumb?
Well, you know what? He actually tells a story about when Vince first called him and said, "Hey, I want to speak to the Undertaker." And he was like, "What? You're the Undertaker." And laid this out. And of course, Mean Mark wasn't going to be a thing in WCW anymore. So, well, I need money. I'll try it. And there it went.
Man, can you imagine, like, at least, I mean, we all hate Vince, but if he wouldn't have come up with that, what would he have been? You know?
Yeah. Who knows? Who knows?
Crazy.
I mean, he basically dropped a basketball career to be a wrestler, and it paid off.
Mm-hmm. Thank goodness.
But we get a quick promo for an episode of WWF Main Event airing the very next night on NBC, where Ted DiBiase will take on the Ultimate Warrior for the WWF Championship. Spoiler alert, Ted does not win.
Darn.
But yeah. I would have been okay with him as champion at some point, though. That would have been really cool.
Yeah.
But Mean Gene Okerlund is with the Vipers. I come to wash and wipe your windows.
Oh my God, I'm so glad that you had that thought too. Oh, I'm so excited. Okay, y'all know the Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark, that creepy book of like scary ghost stories we all had as kids. There was a section where they had like funny ghost stories, and one was called The Viper. And you just quoted it, and I thought I was the only one who had that thought when they said The Viper. So I'm so proud of you.
Thank you. Mean Gene Okerlund is with the Vipers in the shower.
Oh yeah, what?
That's right. One small guy surrounded by four big beefy guys in the shower. Oh, it's hot. And one of them has his snake out.
It's a big snake. Why is he washing it? Why is he washing it?
I don't know. The snake likes water. I just got a text. My wife is on her way home, which means the dogs are going to start barking in about 15 to 20 minutes. Anyway, Jake Roberts has one eye that's completely white from being sprayed in the face by Rick Martel's perfume. Arrogance. Sorry. Anyway, Jake talks about himself, and he talks about the Rockers, and he talks about Jimmy Snuka. In return, Snuka goes, hoo, hoo, and we go to the ring.
Oh God. I thought it was so weird. Yeah, we'll get to it. Okay. So Survivor Series match, the Vipers versus the Visionaries. So over on this team, Jake Roberts, Jimmy Snuka, Marty Jannetty, Shawn Michaels. We saw them on SummerSlam and WrestleMania 6. Jimmy Snuka, man, you're right. He is 47 and he's starting to look it a little bit on this show. That is if you can see past his hair. I think maybe he uses the hair to cover up a little bit.
Yeah.
Over on the other side, we've got Hercules, Paul Roma, Rick Martel, and Warlord. Same SummerSlam or WrestleMania 6. But I was driving this week and I saw like an 18-wheeler and it said Roma on the back and it had like Italian flag colors. And I was like, it is an Italian something.
Yeah, we're getting somewhere with this. By the time that we get to the creation of AEW, we will have figured this out.
We're going to figure this out, but let's get into the match.
Yeah, so Rick Martel enters first and he's doing the model gimmick, right? He's even got that button on his jacket that says, "Yes, I am a model," which is hilarious, I think. Perfect guy for this gimmick, by the way. Like Rick Martel, good looking guy.
Oh, yeah.
Am I wrong?
No, you're not wrong. He's definitely good looking. I think he's more attractive than Rick Rude.
Well, and you look at pictures of Rick Martel now, still looks the same, just a little bit of age on him, some gray hair, still looks like he could be a model. Crazy.
Silver Fox.
Well, he comes out to that sexy saxophone music, and then Power and Glory enter to the same music, and Paul Roma looks at the camera and yells, "Number one!" Like, number one what? Your Power and Glory. You're not exactly lighting up the tag team scene in the WWF. But anyway, the best part was the Warlord. Silver mask, big shoulder pads, the scepter with the W on top, entering to Rick Martel's sexy saxophone music. It was great. It was like one of those weird fashion shows where the models are wearing shit that nobody would ever wear, but it's, oh my God, so revolutionary. Yeah, because nobody would wear it. Why?
I was up in the middle of the night, like I always do, and I always get on Twitter, and I actually saw like some fashion show in Paris this week, and they were wearing the weirdest stuff, and they were like, "Are we really pretending like this is about fashion?" Like,
yeah.
And so that's a really good comparison because you're right, yeah. And
these women walking out there looking like a freaking sheetrock wall, and people are like, "Oh my God."
Oh, yeah, and some like this one, it was like they were like crawling kind of like a bear. The one I saw on Twitter yesterday, like they had weird walks. It wasn't a typical runway walk. Wow, that's hard to say, runway walk. It
They
was
were
like
crawling because they had thrown up everything they'd eaten over the past 2 months to be able to get on that runway. But
apparently, yeah. I watched America's Next Top Model. They were pretty savage with weight. They
yeah.
were, but speaking of weight, Hercules be thick, like thick. Like this is later confirmed by his wedgie because his booty's gotten bigger.
Yeah, Herc. I don't know, man. That's a whole lot of man right there, and we'll leave it at that.
Yeah. Well, at least he doesn't have thump on his butt. The Rockers, man, they're making sure they will never be lost. Everyone will know right where they are in the building because they are wearing some highlighter yellow gear, and it is bright.
Yes, indeed. But hey, they're the Rockers. They can get away with it.
They are the Rockers, but I'm kind of ready for Sean's uprising.
Oh, it's coming.
It better be because I'm
It's coming.
ready. I'm
Believe
so ready
me,
for it.
sooner rather than later. Not crazy soon, but pretty soon.
Good.
Yeah. Jimmy Snuka, we talked about him a second ago. Boy, he looks different on the show. He's not wearing tiny leopard print trunks anymore. No. He's in full length tights. And he's not barefoot. No. He's wearing wrestling boots. How about that? And isn't it funny that Jimmy Superfly Snuka, this wild man from Fiji, can't speak except to go hoot, but can have perfectly shaped facial hair?
And he has perfectly shaped facial hair, but his head hair is wildly out of control.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, no, it looks like a cleaning product.
A cleaning product. I was going to say like a sea creature, like a sea urchin or like an anemone or something. Hey, ooh, I caught it. Sean hit a hurricane on a banana on Warlord. Am I right?
I think that's who's saying Cruel Summer. No, that was Bananarama. Yeah, you're close enough.
The hurricane on a banana, the move you talked about last week. And
Hurricanrana.
You were like, you know what it is, but you don't know what it's called. And I saw it.
Well, good. Congratulations.
Thank you very much. Well, the first elimination is Warlord over Marty Jannetty, which I kind of saw that coming, but there was a great upside down bump in the corner by Sean. And those always like amaze me and hurt me. I don't know how they do it without breaking their neck.
Yeah, and Flair did that. He loved doing that bump. Sean later loved doing that bump. But with the Rockers starting it out so hot, it almost seemed like Jake felt like, oh, I got to amp up the energy a little bit more. Like he's all of a sudden doing a lot of like very good guy things to play to the crowd, almost like he was standing over there in the corner, was like, I'll deal with the splits or some shit. I don't know.
And that's why Sean needs his uprising, because he's just he's super charismatic and the crowd loves him.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Not saying that they don't love Marty, but kind of. But Martel eliminates Jimmy Snuka, and then Power and Glory hit a powerplex on Shawn Michaels and eliminate him.
Yes. And somewhere in all of this, Gorilla says that somebody was hit on his external occipital. Damn it. I always get it wrong. Gorilla says somebody was hit on his external occipital protuberance.
There you go.
And then Roddy responds with, yeah, and he hit him on the head too.
Yeah, so at this point, I'm like, Roddy kinda is like Jesse, but it's like when you like really you're craving like Lucky Charms and you go in the pantry and there's only like cornflakes. Like you'll still eat the cereal. It's fine.
But Roddy acts like he ate all the Lucky Charms marshmallows. I am Cornholio.
What's wrong? Well, that was a very 90s reference. But what's wrong with eating all the marshmallows? That's the best part.
I was actually in the store the other day and saw a bag that was just the marshmallows. And yeah.
Matraka, you didn't buy that and send it to me? Or at least tell me which store you were at?
I think it was Target, actually.
Oh, that would make sense. I don't go to Target because every time I go, well, first of all, it's a joke that we have a third world Target here because they're doing so much construction. It's just ridiculous. But also, every time I go, there's like a mom and she has 6 kids with her and they're all over the store. And I can't even move because there's little children everywhere. And I'm like, yo, leave the older ones at home, bring the young ones, put them in the buggy, and let's call it a day, you know?
But you know what this Target had?
Marshmallows.
Mm. They had a popcorn machine and
Oh,
an icy machine.
an icy machine? Was it like icy brand? Oh, but was it like one of those stupid little kid ones where it makes like
No, 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 no,
half a
no.
cup of
Like
icy?
there's like a snack bar like the old school Target that has an icy machine.
Oh my gosh, I haven't seen. Now it's just Starbucks. They don't have. Are they bringing it back because they know people miss it?
I don't know, but they've got a whole thing. They have popcorn. I want to say that there's pizza there too. They have like Pizza Hut pizza or something there. Yeah.
What? Dude, I
Yeah.
saw this ninja slushy thing. Ninja, if you want to sponsor us, you can send me a slushy machine because I will use the hell out of that. But
Yeah.
Jake grabs Damien and chases Rick Martel with him. And did you notice Damien started wrapping himself around Jake's leg? I bet you love that, didn't you?
The sooner that stupid snake goes away, can't he be Jake the koala bear, Roberts, and just bring a koala out? Like I would be totally happy with that.
Oh my God, koalas are really cute. But Jake ends up getting counted out, which gives the Visionaries the win, which is crazy. But side note, I wanted to see because I noticed like Jake had the snake was wrapping around his leg and he like kind of took a bump on the snake. And so I was like, you know what? I'm going to look around online and see if he's ever gotten any heat for, how he treated the snake, or did they get any heat from PETA or, something like that. And apparently he admitted on some interview that one time he left one of the Damians in the trunk of his car overnight because he was drunk. And I'm like, well, why were you driving your car?
Right.
But he left him in the trunk overnight and that snake froze to death.
Oh,
And so I hate it. I hate it. I want them to get rid of the snake because I'm like such an
yeah.
animal lover. But
There's probably a good reason we don't see animals in wrestling anymore.
yeah, I mean,
Not that anybody would do that if there was an animal these days, but still, like, ugh.
I think the closest thing was Cody's dog that would go on the road with him and
Yeah. Well, and
whatever.
they even stopped bringing that dog out because the pyro scared him too bad.
I know. Yeah. And he never showed. He has another dog that most people don't know about named Yeti Pinkerton. And he is the cutest little dog. And I'm like, Cody, put him on TV too. But
Mm.
I digress. The Visionaries win the match, and all four guys technically survive in 17 minutes and 42 seconds. So I don't know about you, but this was the match on the card that was kind of meh for me.
Yeah, I would give that distinction to one that's coming up later, but I did find it interesting to see the whole thing with Jake having blindness in one eye because they said that he could not see out of that white eye that he had been sprayed with the perfume. So, like, seeing the thing between him and Martel and knowing there's more of that coming up, that was kind of fun. Otherwise, fine.
Yeah, it was fine. I think Jake made it a lot of fun. It just kind of felt like one of the previous Survivor Series where it seemed a little random. But
Yeah.
no, I agree. There is a worse one later. But Gorilla promotes the Royal Rumble, which does a great way to start off 1991. I'm already excited for it. But Roddy asks for a towel because he's so sweaty. And so they like throw him a towel and like his face is wet and he's just wiping the sweat away. But Roddy's talking about the Rumble and he says it's every dog face for himself. And I'm like, am I making this up, or is Dogface a nickname for one of the Steiners?
It is. It is.
So are they coming?
Not yet.
So he just like totally like blue balled.
Yeah,
Like
he
that
just,
is not happening.
who knows?
Okay, well, we head backstage with Mr. Sean Mooney, who is with the Hulkamaniacs. And Hulk Hogan says that the Hulksters have been, quote, surviving the WWF for some time. And I'm like, because it's so hard to survive when you've been pushed to the moon, Hulk Hogan.
Yeah, I hope you're going to be okay.
Right. He then says something about like how taking your vitamins will make you be able to survive any situation. That's good to know. But he says nice things about Hacksaw Jim Duggan, who's just so freaking funny to watch. Tugboat, which is the silliest name and gimmick for a wrestler I've ever seen. And then Big Boss Man. And Big Boss Man says that he's been a survivor his entire life and calls out Bobby Heenan. So then Hacksaw Jim Duggan has these pretty yellow ribbons tied in bows all around his 2x4. And Hulk Hogan says it's to support the troops in the Middle East. So that was lovely, right?
Yeah, but Hulk says that he collected the best team of Hulkamaniacs possible. So the best of the best is a prison guard, a cross-eyed guy with a board, and a guy who thinks he's a boat. That's great.
Hey, Hacksaw can still see just because it's crossed. It doesn't mean anything. They can still see.
Okay. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Okay, so I'm like, great, support the troops, right? But then Hulk Hogan has to go political, and he tells President Bush, the daddy, not the son, right?
Yeah, that would be weird if it was the second one.
Well, the second one became president just like 10 years later. So it's not like, yeah. But fun fact, George W. Bush was Michelle and Justin's neighbor back in the day on Harvard Street.
Yeah, but like his daughters were so mean. I hated playing with them.
Really?
No.
Well, that's why I was like, I couldn't tell if you were being serious. Like, I was like, did they ever like play together? Because I know Mom would talk about them riding their bikes, and so
I don't remember that at all.
Yeah, so I didn't know, and I was like a baby, so I don't know these things. But that house recently was for sale, and it sold for like millions more than what it's worth just because it's George W. Bush's old house.
That's crazy.
Yeah, it was pretty crusty. Yeah, but then, so yeah, he tells President Bush that if they need any extra help or, quote, heavy artillery over there in the Middle East, they volunteer their services. And he also asks Saddam Hussein, which I'm like, you really think this guy's watching this show? But he asks him, what are you going to do when my team of survivors runs wild on you? And like, I just really, really hate involving politics and wrestling because wrestling has enough of its own politics. And that's usually way more entertaining. But I'm just like, it's the same thing with TV shows and movies. Like I want my escape, you know?
Well, you got to stop watching The West Wing. That's the problem. You'll get away from politics if you stop watching The West Wing.
I don't know what that means because I've never seen The West Wing, but
it's about it's the West Wing of the White House.
Oh, okay. I didn't know. I was like, it could be the West Wing of freaking Air Force One. I don't know. I tried to avoid this stuff. I will say maybe I need to watch it because I've been watching that Dr. Odyssey. Have you heard of that?
No.
Oh my God. They are villainizing orcas right now. And I made a tweet about it. It's making me so mad. The orcas are attacking the cruise ship, Justin.
I'm okay.
It's a series that happens.
Maybe they deserve it.
Oh, you should watch that show because you like cruises and it all takes place on a cruise ship. The entire show.
Great.
So yeah,
great.
You should watch it. But brother, let's get politics aside. Let's go to the next match.
Yes. Survivor Series match. The Hulkamaniacs versus the Natural Disasters. We've seen most of these guys before on the Hulkamaniacs side. Well, actually, let's talk about the Natural Disaster side. There's Earthquake, of course. There's the Barbarian, Dino Bravo, and Haku. On the Hulkamaniacs side, we've, of course, got Hulk Hogan. We got the Big Boss Man. We got Hacksaw Jim Duggan. And we have Tugboat, who we've not seen before.
He's
Let's
goofy.
talk about him. Yeah, kind of. Born on August 10th, 1956. He is now 68 years old. On this show, he was 34. And the final pay-per-view we're going to see him wrestle on is WrestleMania 17.
Really?
Technically. Yes.
Okay.
Real name, Fred Ottman. Now, prior to this, he had been wrestling in Florida, managed by Diamond Dallas Page, and he was feuding with Dusty Rhodes. He would eventually go on to be a WWF Tag Team Champion, and he's the brother-in-law of Dusty Rhodes and the uncle of Cody and Dustin Rhodes. It's so funny that we're talking about him because just like 2 days ago, I saw a video online of Tugboat at home back in the day, surrounded by all these kids, and the one that's right there next to him, crawling all over him and being an annoying little shit, was a young Cody Rhodes.
I thought you were going to say he has his nipples pierced.
No. Fortunately, no. That's not where the name Tugboat comes from.
Oh, yuck.
But he is also famous for one other thing that we will get to in a few years, but it is considered one of the biggest botches on wrestling TV of all time.
Now I have to know. I won't look it up, but I did go to WrestleCrap, and I love all the like botches and funny stuff. That's like my new website. So thank you for telling me about that.
Yes, of course. Let's get into the match. This is the replacement we talked about at the top of the show. Rick Rude was initially supposed to be in this match, but he left the WWF due to a pay dispute. And so he was replaced here by Haku. So for now, bye-bye Rick Rude. It's been a good run. But the Barbarian makes his way to the ring wearing antlers. That's right. The Barbarian is wearing antlers. It's like Cousin Eddie from the Vacation movie stopped by one of those dumb roadside tourist traps. Look what I got, Clark.
So there's an inside joke that my husband is Clark Griswold. He is him. And we were watching Vegas Vacation and we're just laughing the whole time. And then it kind of hurt because I realized I'm not Beverly D'Angelo. I'm freaking Cousin Eddie. Like he's Clark and I'm Cousin Eddie. So we just made that realization this weekend. So I had to talk about it.
And I'm the dealer that Wallace Shawn plays in Vegas Vacation.
I said
blackjack.
That was really good. Oh, I miss 90s Vegas. Even though I was never there in the 90s, I still miss it. But Big Boss Man, he sold this drop kick from Haku so well. Like, so when he got, quote, kicked in the face, he let all this slobber just go flying, and it looked so good. Excellent.
Yeah. But Boss Man's theme says that he carries a big stick, a ball and chain too. No. Never seen him come to the ring with a ball and chain ever. Shenanigans. No.
Well, and why would he? Because that would mean he's like a prisoner, a bad guy, right?
Yeah, it makes no sense.
That's dumb. Well, shortly after he got that drop kick to the face, he pinned Haku. Poor Haku. I feel like he's just the fill-in guy, and like he was the one that had to take all that, I guess, bumps and everything when he was Andre's tag team partner. So I feel like Haku doesn't get enough respect around here.
We need more Haku.
We really do. But Jimmy Hart, you little weasel.
What I do, baby?
So Jim Duggan, he was like kicking Earthquake's butt, right? Until Jimmy low-bridged him. So of course, Jim Duggan has to chase him around the ring with his 2x4. But he gets back in the ring and he ends up hitting Earthquake with it a few times and gets disqualified. But I feel like that's exactly what Jimmy Hart was trying to do.
Yeah, Jimmy Hart, he's a weasel, but he's a smart one. Ugh. But hey, for once, the USA chant actually makes sense. Finally. We did it, everyone. Everybody on Hogan's team is from the USA, and everybody from the bad guys team is from outside of the USA. So nicely done, Hartford. I'm proud of you for now until you screw it up later.
I would like a new Rassle Stats category for how many times it happens where it actually makes sense.
Yeah, right. Well, here's one.
Well, Dino Bravo, he actually got some good work in against Hulk Hogan. Kind of surprised me that Hulk allowed that, but of course, Hogan did roll up Dino for the pin, and
of course.
Well, man, Boss Man, he jumped from the top rope and Earthquake caught him like it was nothing. It was so impressive. Yeah,
and I never realized how much bigger Earthquake was, taller than Boss Man, because Boss Man was a tall guy, and Earthquake's even taller, which is just insane to me.
Yeah, and especially with that weight loss, it made him look a lot smaller.
Yeah, definitely. And right around here is when I noticed a kid in the crowd. Hogan bandana, Hogan shirt, taking pictures with a disposable camera. Do you remember those?
That is so weird that you brought that up, because in one of my Disney groups yesterday, someone said, take a disposable camera to Disney. You won't regret it. Great nostalgic vibes. And I guess they took one to Disney and they got their photos developed, and it did. You could tell that because of the outfits and stuff that it was current day pictures, but they did look kind of old school and it was neat. But then I was wondering, where do you get that developed now? I
don't know. I think maybe Walgreens still does it. Yeah? Maybe. I don't know. But I just remember you would take a picture and then you had to turn the thing on the side, the dial, to get to the next cell of the film.
I remember you could smack it on your hand and it would flash.
Yeah. They were really sturdy.
there is an app called Dispo, and it's so stupid. It's for the children who never got to use disposable cameras, but it'll make your pictures look like that. Kind of old school. But here's the thing. You take the picture, you can't look at it, and it's not available for 3 days.
That's hilarious.
It's kind of dumb, but the kids think it's cool. Golly, where are we? I don't even remember.
Does it give everybody red eyes too?
Oh, it does. It actually does. It was this girl, Rachel. She's like 20. She taught me about it. And I was like,
Oh, wow.
well, that's dumb. I want to see my pictures as soon as I take them. I want to send them to my friends. But did you notice that Earthquake still has like marks or scars from those welts he got on his back from the last show? Jeez.
No.
Yeah, it was bad. Like I could still see him. I was like, oh, so yeah, I guess there's scars at this point. But Earthquake is the one to take out Big Boss Man. But that makes sense.
Yeah, and as much as we talk about Hogan's popularity starting to fade a little in this era, you wouldn't know it here. Like, the crowd is solidly behind Hulk Hogan, and they'll literally be behind him, 30 something years later when he leaves an autograph session early.
Yeah, that's funny. Well, Tugboat. God, I can't even say that seriously. Tugboat. I just want to like look at him and be like choo choo. Even though that's a train, but Tugboat, Earthquake, and Hulk Hogan all end up outside of the ring, and Tugboat and Earthquake end up getting counted out. But why didn't Hulk Hogan get counted out? Was it because he was out just as long? Was it because he wasn't the legal man?
Yeah, Hogan wasn't legal, but it makes him pulling Earthquake out even more of a dick move. Because Hogan is a heel.
Hogan's a heel, everybody. That is the new title of the podcast.
Yeah.
Ugh. Okay, less than stellar moment on the pay-per-view. There was a really messy pile driver with Barbarian and Hulk Hogan, and it was ugly. And I think even Roddy said something to cover it up. He said, well, both knees hit Hogan's shoulders. Whoops.
Yeah, like Barbarian tried to play it a little too safe. To where it didn't look great, but Hogan probably saw Barbarian's brown trunks and thought they were filled with Dookie. Remember from No Holds Barred?
If you can see my face, if you're watching the video, you know that I know exactly what he's talking about. But honestly, that was the highlight of the movie.
Yeah,
so
it was.
I don't know why I look disgusted because that was the best part.
Well, the Hulkamaniacs win the match, of course, with Hulk Hogan being the sole survivor, of course, in 14 minutes, 49 seconds. How'd you feel about this one?
It was good. It was fine. A lot of energy. I liked it. I don't want to say too many great things about that heel Hogan, but it was good. I liked I don't know. It was good. What do you think?
You're really struggling here.
Well, no, like I was trying to think and I was like, what was it that I liked about it? And I was like, I really liked Earthquake being in it because he did not have me sold the first like couple matches I saw him in, but I understand it now. But what'd you think?
It just felt like nostalgia to me, which is fine. And, seeing the people that behind Hogan still was a bit refreshing because it feels like it had kind of died down a little bit and with Hogan taking like movie stuff and that sort of thing. So it was fine. Yeah. But Hogan actually takes a Hulk Hogan banner from somebody in the front row after the match, wipes his sweat on it, and then hands it back. Hogan's a heel. If that was snot, Hogan would be a heel.
No, I think he's just a narcissist and he thinks like they actually want his body fluids.
Ugh. Gross. But it did seem like they kind of cut off his posing a little bit early, like maybe because he's going to be seen again tonight. But he did do the posing, but fairly quickly they went on to the next thing. Did you notice that?
I didn't. And it's probably because when he starts posing, I like check my text messages and like everything because I'm like, I got a while.
Mean Gene is on the interview stage in the arena and he brings out Randy Savage, who doesn't have a match tonight, which is rare. Yeah. Randy's carried out there on his throne, this time by guys in suits rather than randoms in trunks. And he is looking every bit like he stole his outfit from a candy striper, not a candy stripper. That's a different thing. Randy says that the Ultimate Warrior will be the ultimate turkey when Randy takes the title back. He also talks a bit about Queen Sherry slapping the, quote, ultimate chicken. And hey, lots of guys looked at Sherry and slapped their ultimate chicken. Randy does throw in one interesting thing. He says that after he beats Warrior and proves he's the best of all time, he may just retire. Huh.
Hey, real quick. Okay, so speaking of that, because that got me thinking when I watched it, where the hell's Miss Elizabeth been? Because they brought her back with this big old like, oh, she's back. Oh, she's going to do more in the ring. And then she disappeared after that show.
I'm just knitting him a new hat for when he comes back. And I'm going to church with Debbie Lynn on Sunday.
Oh, great. Well, let's just talk about the next match. It's the Alliance versus the Mercenaries. So, yeah, this is kind of the one that's a little. But we've got on our good guy team, we've got Butch and Luke, aka the Bushwhackers, Nikolai
Yeah.
Volkov. Yeah. Nikolai
Do the walk.
Volkov and Tito Santana. We saw all of them on either SummerSlam or Royal Rumble 1990. And then on the bad side, we've got Boris Zukov, which I'm like, is that not the same guy as Nikolai Volkov? Okay. Sato, Sergeant Slaughter, and Tanaka. I always think of Neil Sedaka when I see Tanaka. I have no idea why. But we've seen all these guys before, except for Sergeant Slaughter. So we got to talk about him. So he was born August 27th, 1948. So this is like the oldest dude we've had recently. But he is still alive today at the age of 76. Good for him.
Yeah.
I feel like if you're born in 48, you should be older than 76 at this point. But
yeah, you would think so. But later this year, he'll be 77. So that makes sense.
Makes a little more sense. Well, the last pay-per-view we will see him wrestle on is WWE Vengeance 2007. Now, he is 42 on this pay-per-view, but still not as old as Jimmy Snuka. But his real name is Robert Rudolph Remus.
Arr.
Prior to this, he had wrestled in the NWA and AWA, and although he portrayed a gimmick of like a drill sergeant, he never actually served in the military and even protested in several anti-war movements. So it's kind of weird that that was like his gimmick, right? But I guess back then you didn't really pick a gimmick, you were assigned a gimmick, and now you can kind of pick-ish.
Yeah, and this one actually took him really far. I mean, he had been doing similar things before, but I mean, he became a part of G.I. Joe as Sergeant Slaughter, all because of this. Yeah.
Wow. Well, he would go on to be the WWF champion and was inducted into the WWE Hall of Fame in 2004. Cool.
Yes, indeed. Well, let's get into the match. So the good guys enter and then the bad guys enter. But Mean Gene, I could kill him for this, stops Sergeant Slaughter in the aisle and mentions that this show is being watched by service members around the world. And then it starts.
Yep.
Lord, it starts. Slaughter legitimately talks for at least 2 minutes straight. And it's so hard to understand him because he's got that big chin and all this spit. But anyway, what I got out of it is that he salutes the Iraqi flag. His team ate their Thanksgiving meal without the smell of camel dung, and there was no sand in their pumpkin pie. And then his team behind him, including his manager, General Adnan, who's actually former wrestler Sheikh Adnan Al-Kaisi, are all like, yeah. Like, what are you agreeing with? This is ridiculous.
Oh, man, they take out the flag and everything. Like, this was just, it gave a go-away heat vibe versus a heel heat vibe, I guess.
Very much so.
Yeah, it was bizarre, but Boris was taken out quick. And same with Sato and Tanaka. So Slaughter's by himself like 2 minutes into the match.
Well, yeah, and Slaughter's whole team is wearing camo face paint. Yeah. There is no amount of camo in the world that's going to hide that big, bald baby Boris Zukov.
Yeah, and it really didn't even look like camouflage. It just kind of looked like mud or like a mess on their face. Not gonna lie, brother. I don't care about anyone in this match but the Bushwhackers.
Yeah. I think this was intended as the let me up match, but like not really, because I know they wanted to get Sergeant Slaughter over as like the main bad guy. It's weird timing too, because everything that was happening in Iraq at the time and just, yeah.
Yeah, well, the Bushwhackers start a USA chant, and I just need them to be a trio with Hacksaw Jim Duggan for forever. That is the most natural team to me.
See, Hartford, you did it right the first time, but now you're doing a USA chant started by two guys from New Zealand, a guy from Croatia, and a guy presumably from Mexico.
Hold up, Luke and Duke are from New Zealand?
Yeah.
No way.
Yeah.
I thought they were from like Junction, Texas or something.
No, they're from New Zealand.
Holy crap. I would have never, ever thought that. Well, Luke and Duke, Luke and Butch have the funniest selling. Like their selling is so funny and I love them so much.
It's like that out of control Terry Funk selling. We're like very cartoonish.
It's very cartoony, and I just love them so much. But Justin, this match is stupid. It's just so stupid because Sergeant Slaughter, like, he's not good enough in the ring or like in kayfabe, like as a heel, he's a mega heel. So like to eliminate, I'm Australian now, to eliminate Nikolai and both bushwhackers as easily as he did, because he was by himself, but then he just goes ahead and eliminates all these guys on the other team so easily. Like, I feel like this should have been a squash, like an 8-man tag team squash where Sergeant Slaughter goes down, because why would you leave a mega heel by himself struggling against 4 dudes? Because like no one's pulling for him. Like that's normally what you do to a baby face where everyone's like, come on, you can do it. But no one's pulling for Sergeant Slaughter. So I understand what they were trying to do and like build him up and stuff, but I just thought it was dumb.
Yeah, no, you're right. I mean, you don't want the underdog to be somebody you don't want to root for.
Yes.
Like that doesn't make any sense. I can see what they were going for, trying to make him look, tougher than all these guys when he's the bad Iraqi sympathizer guy, but it's just weird structure to this. I wasn't into it, but General Adnan is yelling from ringside, and Piper says that he's speaking pig Latin. Michelle, did you know that one of the apps on your phone is actually in pig Latin?
No, I'm afraid to ask.
Yeah, actually, if you don't say it in pig Latin, it's papal.
What?
Yeah, if you say it in regular English, it's papal. But if you say it in pig Latin, it's Apple Pay.
Oh, Apple Pay. I was like, Justin, Apple's not an app. Got it. Boo.
Yeah.
Hey, I like Apple Pay. It saved me when I've forgotten my wallet many times. Oh gosh. Well, by the end of this match, Sergeant Slaughter legitimately looks like Harry, aka Joe Pesci from Home Alone, but it's at the end, but particularly Home Alone 2. Like when he's all covered in goo and birdseed and like they attacked him and his face is all like brown and muddy. Like that's what he looks like.
Yeah. Slaughter looks like he's been rode hard and put up wet. Like, just done. But finally the ref goes down. And then Adnan sneaks in and plants the end of the flagpole into Tito's back. Ooh. Ouch. And then Slaughter locks in the camel clutch. But referee Danny Davis was a heel for long enough, and he knows shenanigans when he sees them. So he DQs Slaughter. The referees are not dumb on this show for once, and I love it.
Thank God. It's because he was a wrestler. And I'm sorry, the camel clutch, that was an actual wrestling term because it sounds dirty as hell. And I just picture like a giant camel toe being like, I'm going to get you.
Oh, God. No. Is made popular by the Iron Sheik, the camel clutch. Yes.
Oh, Lord. Didn't know that one. But hey, I was kind of glad that Tito got his moment here. Like, I was like, yay, he won. He's the sole survivor. But sadly, I thought, I guess they need someone to easily discount in the grand finale match.
Yeah.
Oh, well, the Alliance wins the match with Tito Santana as the sole survivor in just 10 minutes and 52 seconds, which I appreciated here. They didn't drag this out longer than it needed to be.
Yeah, I mean, I think what we've said is what we're going to say about this match. It just kind of seemed off, but at least it was short.
And at least we got the Bushwhackers. It's all that matters. Yeah. All that matters. Well, we got a fun thing coming up right now, brother.
Oh, boy.
So, Sean Mooney, I like how you always structure it to where I get to talk about the stupid shit because you know how happy it makes me.
Honestly, it's usually a mistake, but I'm always so glad when I look at the outline and I watch a show and go, oh, I don't have to talk about that. Michelle will do it.
Well, I love talking about the stupid shit, and you always give me the sting matches, so I appreciate that. But Sean Mooney is with the heel team for the grand finale match. So they're all blowing themselves, talking about how great they are. And Ted DiBiase says that with his money and resources, there's no stopping them. And I'm like, it's true. Like, money can buy everything. I am convinced of that in my old age. Like, no. But Ted DiBiase, he kind of digs on Tito Santana a little bit. And then he says Hulk Hogan and Ultimate Warrior's egos can't coexist. And I'm like, dang, you're not wrong, Ted DiBiase.
Like, yeah, it's...
getting a little shootish here, but they finish with a round of high fives, and there's just nothing like seeing a bunch of 40-year-old bad guys high five. All the 90s.
Yeah, you gotta love it. All they needed was a sweater around their neck too, right? Speaking of, they all put their entrance gear back on. Like Ted's back in his sequin tuxedo, and everybody's like back to looking normal. Kind of weird.
I'm guessing it was just pre-taped like before the show or something, and that's why.
Maybe, I don't know. That seems risky though, because one of them got hurt in their first match or something. Like it would be weird to do that. I don't know. It might have been a Vince thing too. Go put your stuff back on. I don't know.
Definitely weird. You're right. Maybe they just had to. Maybe they all showered after their match because they didn't want to stand. Being around sweaty for that long. I don't know. But back to the arena. Gorilla Monsoon plugs main event, and Piper predicts that Ted DiBiase has basically paid his team to weaken Ultimate Warrior, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Then, oh boy, Mean Gene is with the egg.
All right, I'm gonna go cook dinner while you take care of this.
This is great. I got this. Right. So the giant egg, right? He says things have been heating up and the egg is ready to hatch. And I'm like, I'm sorry, who's been sitting on this egg? Like they should have had either Earthquake sit on it the entire show, or hell, like put Sensational Sherry and just have her like sit on the egg and be stuck on it the whole time and yell funny things all night. Like this could have had so much more potential. But Gene speculates that maybe it's a dinosaur or the Playgirl or Playboy Girl of the Month inside the egg, which is probably a bad idea because you got everyone's hopes up that it was a dinosaur or a hot girl, right?
Yeah.
Now, pause. There's something here driving me nuts, and it drives me nuts in real life, and it drives me nuts when people say egg, and Mean Gene is doing it. I hate it. Like
it's got to be that Minnesota accent of his.
It's gotta be. Oh, but even like my husband, he used to say egg. And I was like, stop it. It's an egg. I can't do it. And then stupid Mean Gene, he makes a stupid freaking joke about how he's cracking up as the egg begins to hatch. And I'm like, you're not even laughing. Like, that's what cracking up means. But he goes, stand back. The egg is ready to blow. And come on, you can't not laugh at it.
I cannot laugh at it.
So the egg hatches and I'm like, oh God, it's a chicken. And then I was like, wait, is it a turkey? Well, like not a real one. It's a guy in a turkey suit, but the crowd goes silent for a moment. And then heavy boos start pouring in. The crowd is pissed. And like, this is the goofiest thing I've ever seen. And I'm like, okay, I knew about the Gobbledy Gooker, but it didn't register to me until Mean Gene was sitting there with it. I was like, oh, this is the episode. So whose idea was this?
that would be Vince.
Okay. Did he take accountability for this moment?
He did. I think he thought that the kids would really love like a mascot type character, and they did not.
If you're going to have a mascot, do a mascot that you don't only have on Thanksgiving. What? Oh, yeah. Well, I think Mean Gene says, he's got a pair of legs like my mother-in-law. And I thought that was funny. And I think that was Mean Gene's way of trying to get some sort of positive reaction from the crowd because they're mad. But then, oh man, he gives the turkey a microphone who says like, Gobbledy Gooker, and keeps like gobbling. And like somehow Gene understands turkey, and because he's like, oh, he said that it's the Gobbledy Gooker, and I'm like, good, because I have no idea what the turkey just said, but oh man, the turkey takes Gene to the ring, everybody. I kept wanting to call it the chicken all throughout my notes, but thank God. Okay, so Gene seems like very displeased with the whole situation, and he looks annoyed. And I almost was like, did he not know he was gonna be like drug up into the ring? Because he looks mad. But Gene kind of lightens up a little bit and dances in the ring a little with the turkey. But then they start like taking turns, like running the ropes and doing some in-ring stuff. But Mean Gene is like rolling around on the floor in his tux, and I guess Mean Gene is supposed to copy what the turkey does, but they keep doing like between these moves, they keep doing this like do-si-do type dance together. And I don't know. Like, I just can't believe that the Gobbledy Gooker got to take up so much time in the ring. Like, they gave so much time to this segment. And so my question, brother, my ultimate question is, who was in the Gobbledy Gooker costume, aka who did Vince hate more than anybody?
So the person inside the Gobbledygooker costume was Hector Guerrero, brother of the late Eddie Guerrero. And that's why he was doing all these acrobatics and everything. I don't know why Hector Guerrero was chosen. I don't know if they were planning to bring him into the company. I have no idea. You mentioned WrestleCrap earlier. They, for years now, have had a yearly award for the dumbest thing of the year called the Gooker Award, named after this moment.
Now I want to go back and see who all won like at the last 5 years. But
oh yeah,
it was, I mean, you could tell it was a talented wrestler by the way he was flipping around and stuff. It wasn't just, some random, but okay, Hector Guerrero, so random. They should put Vicky in there instead.
Yeah, she'll gobble.
Well, thank God we're backstage with Sean Mooney, Justin. We've escaped the turkey, but we've got Hulk Hogan, Ultimate Warrior, and Tito Santana with him. And like, poor Tito. He seems like an outsider, not gonna lie. It's the Warrior and Hulk show and poor Tito. But Sean Mooney mentions how it's gonna be 3 against 5, and Hulk Hogan says, well, you know something, little dude. That made me laugh.
What a dick.
I know. Like, stop making me laugh, Hulk Hogan. Because, yeah, like, what a dick. Because, I mean, Sean Mooney is very short compared to Hogan, but.
Right.
Well, and then the best part is when Tito calls the other team a bunch of turkeys after this monstrosity that we just saw. Oh, gosh. But basically, the gist of this interview, all 3 guys agree that they're not going to get beat. So to the ring, to the grand finale match.
Let's close this thing off. The shortest match of the night. Thank God. It is the survival of all survivors 5-on-3 handicap match. Hulk Hogan, Tito Santana, and Ultimate Warrior versus Hercules, Paul Roma, Rick Martel, Ted DiBiase, and the Warlord. Now, we saw all these guys, obviously, earlier in this night because they were the survivors of their previous matches, except Warrior redid his face paint, so maybe it's the Texas Tornado.
I am so doing a Reddit deep dive rabbit hole thing after this. You know me. I love a good conspiracy, but man, you're not kidding. That entrance area or lack thereof, it's just really bad. Like with it just being that black curtain, it is so lackluster. And I'm just baffled at why they would do that.
Well, and you look at the WCW entrance ways that we've seen this year, 1990, and they're like elaborate and good.
Yeah, it's so weird. But did you notice on the entrance of Power and Glory, a guy in the crowd grabbed Roma's shirt and he turned around and snapped at him. And that's what I was saying about those narrow entrance ways. Like they could touch him.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. And once again, we get to see the Warlord entering to Rick Martel's music. So that's just gold. I'll never not love that.
Did he have his antlers the second time? I didn't notice.
I don't remember. I think probably so.
Yeah, those were awful. Oh, gosh. And then Hulk, he gets 2 entrances in one show. That's kind of a lot, right? But hey, at least he walks fast because can you imagine if Roman Reigns had 2 entrances in one show?
Oh, my God. Like even Undertaker was on this show and he knew to hurry it up.
Right? I mean, he's a freaking zombie or whatever. And he's
Brother Love was probably poking him with a stick. Walk faster.
Oh, man. Well, Tito, I was kind of surprised. Tito Santana, he took out the Warlord fast with a flying forearm. Good for him, right? But fortunately, pretty soon after, Ted DiBiase takes him out. And I knew it. Tito was the sacrificial lamb for the baby faces.
Yeah, you kind of saw it coming. But that's okay. We needed a Tito in there for something. But I'm actually surprised because the crowd is a tiny bit quieter for this match. But not much. They haven't seemed to get really, really tired yet. Maybe it's because while Paul Roma is kicking Hogan's ass, Warrior's on the apron doing the pee-pee dance. He's over there
Really? I didn't notice that. That's funny. And I kind of think it's that syndrome. What was it? The Continental Classic where they saw their favorite stars already once in the night. So the second time they're not as jazzed for it,
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like I'd be that way.
Wrestling Classic, Continental Classics, AEW.
Yes. That's right. That's right. I was like, yes. I could see the graphic in my head. I was like, it's light blue, and that's where Susan was.
That's where we met Susan.
Yes, that's right. Thank you for that correction. But I like how Hulk Hogan just easily kicks out of the Powerplex from Power and Glory and then immediately pins Paul Roma. Like that Powerplex is a finisher, and he's just like, oh, nope, I'm going to pop up on one and pin you.
It's a great finisher. And Hogan's like, no, it doesn't work for me, brother. Asshole.
We should have Hulk Hogan on our show sometime.
Oh, that'd go great. Yeah.
I don't know. He's getting kind of desperate for gigs after getting booed off TV.
Yeah.
But Rick Martel, I was confused what happened here. He just gets fed up and leaves? Like, so he got counted out? Like, that was weird, right?
A lot of countouts and DQs and such on this show. A lot of them, which isn't necessarily a bad thing with this format, but just a lot. But
did they explain why he left?
No, something happened during the match. I can't remember right now. That like pissed him off. Like he accidentally got hit or something. Somebody was coming after him. Maybe Warrior was coming after him, and Rick just said, I'm out.
Super weird, but okay.
Yeah. Well, now it's down to Warrior and Hogan against Hercules. Two things. The color difference means Hercules pinning Hogan looks like mayo on a hot dog. Also, Hercules ain't pinning either of these guys.
We all knew what was coming.
Yeah.
But the mayonnaise thing, because I kept thinking of Sheamus. I was like, oh, right. A pale, large wrestler. Well, Hulk eliminates DiBiase, and then Warrior eliminates Hercules. So, I mean, the good guys win the match, obviously, but the whole thing just seemed kind of rushed. And maybe that's because we all knew what the end result was going to be.
Yeah, like, why not just get to it? And especially that Gooker segment was like, if it wasn't 10 minutes long, it had to be close. Mm-hmm. So, like, and it kind of seemed like the in-ring part of it just went on like way longer than it was supposed to.
Oh, yeah.
And so maybe that ate into some time for this. But like you said, it was a foregone conclusion. Come on. People are watching with their families on Thanksgiving. Hulk Hogan's not going to lose.
Yeah, you're right.
Good guys win the match. Hulk Hogan and Ultimate Warrior being the ultimate survivors in 9 minutes and 7 seconds. Anything else to say about this one?
No.
Okay. Well, Hogan and Warrior celebrate. Hogan holds the ropes open for Warrior, but Warrior says, nah, and holds the ropes open for Hogan. They can coexist. Their egos.
For now.
But of course, Hogan has to ask the crowd first before he goes through the ropes, because something like Warrior was going to let the rope go and smash the little Hulkster. Doing, but we get one more plug for Royal Rumble before Gorilla agrees that we made it. We're the survivors and we're out. What are your final thoughts on Survivor Series 1990?
I mean, it's probably the best Survivor Series I've seen so far. Up until this point, I guess you're right. It is a holiday. Families are watching together. You got to have Hogan and Warrior. The good guys win. I get that. It was weird. The grand finale to me just seemed really like rushed and predictable. So the other matches just seemed better to me. But again, this was my favorite Survivor Series so far. I mean, they're learning. What did you think?
Same. So far, best one. The matches for the most part made sense. They changed it up. They shortened the matches. They didn't have the 8 guys versus 8 guys match that they had for a couple of years there, which is just brutal. Best Survivor Series so far. That's not saying a lot, but can you believe we're saying this is the best Survivor Series so far, and the Gobbledy Gooker was on it? Yeah, right. Hey, at least we got the Undertaker. I think it's a net positive. But
you cancel.
Tell us what happened after this pay-per-view.
Yeah, so after the pay-per-view, the feud between Demolition and the Legion of Doom would finally start to fade as we head into 1991, which that feud, it had to happen because for a long time they were copying each other.
Right.
So, but yeah, finally starting to fade. Hulk Hogan continued his feud with Earthquake, including a series of stretcher matches on house shows, which I'm like, Hulk Hogan did house shows? What? But I guess back then you did that.
Yeah.
But while both Randy Savage and Sergeant Slaughter made a go for Ultimate Warrior's WWF Championship, it was ultimately Sergeant Slaughter who would be granted a title match at WWF's next pay-per-view, the Royal Rumble, which that surprises me.
Yeah, but it's coming up, and we're going to talk about it.
Yeah, but Justin, first, we got to get some more
Wrestle Stats.
All right, let's finish this thing off. This was the final pay-per-view appearance in a match for 3 guys.
Man.
So let's get into them. Demolition Axe. This was his last match on pay-per-view. 6 wins, 5 losses for a total of 11 matches. Also, last time we're going to see Boris Zukov with a record on pay-per-view of 0-7.
Womp womp.
Oh, ouch. And finally, it's the last time we're going to see Sato of the Orient Express. 1 win, 2 losses for a total of 3 matches. So Axe, Boris Zukov, and Sato are no more. Interesting thing happened on this show. For a long time, Randy Savage had the most wins on pay-per-views that we've covered. He still has the most matches with 21, but he now has been passed up because Hulk Hogan got 2 wins on this show, meaning Hulk Hogan now has the most wins on pay-per-view with 14. Let's talk about rematches. Those are down this week. No rematches on this show. So out of the 299 matches we've watched, 20 of them are rematches for a percentage of 6.69%. And out of those 299, 95 of them have been title matches, but there were none of those tonight. So that percentage is down too to 31.77%. And you can check out more stats like this for current day wrestling on Wrestle Stats on X, Blue Sky, Threads, Instagram, and TikTok. And you can also talk to Michelle.
Yeah, you can talk to me. You can either come over to the Twitterverse at Wrestle Recap. You can talk to me and Justin there. Or if you just want to talk to me, you're like, that potato head guy's kind of weird. You can tweet me at Michelle Tater. It's not football season, so I'm not super obnoxious on there these days. So yeah, hit me up.
But today is, as we're recording it, today is the first day of baseball season. Got my Diamondback shirt on. So,
sorry, I fell asleep. What?
Oh, all right. Why are you going to be a dickhead?
Forgot about that. That's funny. But yes, well, Justin, it's that time. Tell me about next week's episode.
Yes, indeed. Next week, we are wrapping up 1990. It went away so quickly with WCW Starrcade. What are we getting? A tag team tournament. Also, a title change, and finally, the reveal of the true identity of the Black Scorpion.
It's Vince.
Prepare to have your mind confused. But the good news, no egg.
Rage.